I'm Ivy.
I'm Rachel, and we are Swords and Sapphics, a podcast all about representation, queer media, women with a capital W, and a little bit of nonsense.
So start sharpening your swords, sip your tea, and join us as we obsess over the wonderful beings that are women.
Hello.
Hello.
What are we talking about today?
Oh, that's a good question. I
Oh,
never know the answer to it.
and yet I always ask you and you answer me.
Well, we've been watching a few queer films recently, so we can talk about that.
And
Um, we've been playing a few queer games recently, so we can talk about that.
yeah. Well, if you won.
Well, yeah. I guess a juggler's tale is queer in the other way, derogatory way.
Yeah.
And then weird.
Yeah. Extremely weird and I loved it. Yeah.
And as always, book Twitter's been popping off. Kate Corain made her return as Twitter's villain of the month. So we can spill some tea.
We can do that. What have you been enjoying lately?
It's a hard question in my current mood. What have I been enjoying recently? Ugh. What have I been reading recently? Was that the question?
Yes,
Okay.
basically.
As an explanation, my dog was just attacked, so you're not gonna get much sense from me today if you're listening. But he's fine, by the way. But I'm still not. Anyway, what have I been reading today?
Not today,
What
this week.
have I been reading this week? Oh, I've been reading A Sweet Sting of Salt by Rose Sutherland. And we was kindly given arcs
Mm-hmm.
for this. And we get to talk to Rose for an episode later, and not that much later, in a week.
Well, for us, for people who listen to it in a
In
bit
April.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes out in April. And it is a sapphic tale.
Mhm.
It's We haven't got that far into it yet,
Yeah.
so definitely no spoilers from us yet. But I do believe there will be Selkies involved. So
Presume, yeah.
it's feeling very whimsical. It's set by the ocean.
Mm.
It's set in the past. Is it in like 1800s,
Yeah, I think so.
that century? And did I say she's a midwife?
No.
She's a midwife. The main character's a gay midwife. She helps deliver babies, and yeah, it's good so far. Really good, like tone setting, and not something that I've read a lot of before. So I'm excited to get deeper
It
into it.
already made me cry in a tram.
Yeah, I love midwives. There's
No.
something. I'm not a maternal person. I don't want to carry a baby myself, but it must be. It's such an interesting job, and it's always fun when there's like that kind of career, especially in like a historical setting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
And there's
because
also a lot of talk about like postpartum depression.
yeah.
Not in exact words, but Jean, the main character, talks about, first of all, her mom died because she wasn't well after giving birth to her. And then she mentioned a few times how it's important to check on new moms because sometimes they're very different.
Yeah,
Just very,
yeah,
very nice.
it's good. It's very refreshing to have that. It's not usually mentioned.
Yeah.
And you would especially not think it to be mentioned in like a historical work where women were just kind of cast off as dramatic and hysterical. So,
It's still not mentioned now. So like especially on a
well, no,
historical side.
exactly. Yeah.
Apparently I found out that during like postpartum depression you get like hallucinations. I saw someone saying that they literally saw their husband like do something to the baby. But what the husband was next to them the entire time, but they like it felt real to them.
Oh
And
my
stuff like
God.
that. It's insane. It's really terrifying.
I do believe that like the female body is just designed to kill itself. And not in a cynical way, but like, what's all this about then? Why
Yeah.
why does it do all these
Yeah.
things? I mean, yeah, it's very interesting
Yeah.
and not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would honestly, I would be if I ever did carry a baby, I would be very terrified of like, because my mental health ain't well anyway. It's like the hard part isn't over when you push out the
No.
kid.
It is terrifying. Yeah.
There is we actually started compiling a list of things that Ivy learns every day because she genuinely literally learns something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was that you bleed for like up to 6 weeks after the birth, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, then they say that you can have sex again after 6 weeks, and until then you just bleed, which is like
Bleed.
fun.
Oh, because something to do with the blood vessels, isn't it?
Yeah, because it was what was it? I think um w there was some like something connecting the baby in the thing to the uterus, and then like it sheds again, like basically like during a menstruation, but like just much more heavily
Yeah.
for 6 weeks.
We need to put a trigger warning before we start talking about this.
Every time I'm uploading the podcast, I'm like, not for children. Yes, like some warning stuff.
We're gonna have to start doing content warnings. Yeah. Having a uterus is one big content warning.
Yeah. Not to mention that we recently found out that it does not look like the way we thought it does.
I know. It's all squished together like a little alien.
Yeah.
I
Like on
mean,
the
it makes
picture, you see
sense.
like the head of a bull, but that's not how it is.
Yeah, no, it's not all laid out nice and flat like
No.
a nice little knitting project.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all squished together inside your body. Okay, what else have I been reading? I've been rereading the Hunger Games books with Tatiana Maslany's audiobook narration,
Mhm.
and it's beautiful. And I love Tatiana Maslany, and I'm on Catching Fire. And even though I've read it, I definitely read this book at least twice because it was my favorite book in the series, and I remember getting it and just treasuring it. But I still get chills with that scene in District, is it 11
Oh
in
yeah.
Ruse
Yeah.
when like the uprising starts to begin and
Mhm.
they all like salute her with the three
Yeah.
fingers. I do think these books will be classics. Oh, I started God Killer
Oh yes, you did. That's
by Hannah Kana. It's so good. I was still in my fantasy groove from Sarah J. Maas, and this I started this, but I needed to get to Axe, so I have something waiting for me when I finished. And it's really good. It's like a society that kind of was like immersed with the gods before, and then there was a war with the gods, and now they're kind of banned and taboo. And she's obviously a god killer. And she has a prosthetic leg. She's sapphic.
Mm.
She belches. Like I love she's tough and like she's sassy. It's so great. She's the best.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's multi-point of views. I didn't think it would be that many because it's relatively short for a fantasy at like 290 pages, I want to say nearly 300. But it's so good.
And it's
Really good.
standalone.
I think there's going to be another one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when I clicked on Goodreads, it was going to be a series.
Okay.
So I'll be excited for it. It's
Wonderful.
really, I'm enjoying it. It's really good. How about you? What have you been reading?
Well, I think I talked about Ruthless Vows last time. And then I was rereading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies on audiobook, which was amazing, of course. And then right away I went into Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, I think.
Yeah.
which was the second book. It was amazing. 10 out of 10. I absolutely love it. I miss it already. And there's supposed to be third book, which I'm very excited for. Anyway, what
Yeah.
else I've been reading? I also started I keep forgetting the title, so I'm calling it the salt thing.
A sweet
Um,
sting of salt.
yeah, that was. And today I started Bride by Ellie Hazelwood.
You
My
did, yeah.
plan is to finish it today because I just love Ellie Hazelwood.
Get it. I still haven't read anything by her, but Bride is for sure the one that has drawn me in the most.
Hmm.
But that has something to do with the little drama that we will
Yeah.
talk about later. What have you been watching?
I'm still on Modern Family. Though I am on the last season, I think I have just a few episodes left. I'm not ready to say goodbye because they literally raised me and I love them. And Abbott's Elementary is back, so I'm watching that weekly. And that's really it. Other than the movies that we're gonna talk about later. That's all I watched.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm back in Grays. I'm nearly at Station 19 now. I met Miss Andy Herrera.
Mhm. Without the
Herrera.
M. Yeah.
And I'm in love with her. And I said to Ivy, am I just expected to be offered this woman in a firefighter's uniform and not immediately go and watch it?
Mhm.
And apparently I am expected to do that, but I don't like it.
Tough to do. What can I say?
And I went back to Yellowstone
Mhm.
and I love it. I
Mm.
love you, Beth Dunn. I found out some juicy gossip about why Beth and Jamie don't get on. And then Jamie found out that, spoiler alert, he's adopted because his father was a serial killer. And I just love to see him suffer. It's what he deserves.
Mm.
But I went in there for Luke Grimes, and I now Rip Wheeler is the love of my life, I'm afraid. I still love Casey, but now I want a cowboy romance.
What have you been playing lately?
Oh man, I've been playing something wonderful.
Yeah.
So those who know me know my favorite part of a game is like riding around or just in a completely chill way. Like if I had Grand Theft Auto, I'd be abiding by the rules. There would be no theft involved. I would just be driving around in my car. So in this game, that's what you get to do. And it's called Lake. And it's like a narrative, it has a narrative in it. Where this woman called Meredith, she's in like her 40s, which is great in itself, I feel like. It's kind of like a Hallmark movie. She goes back to her hometown and she takes over her dad's postal duties as a postman.
Yeah.
So you get to ride around in a postman van, and deliver post.
Yeah.
And there are characters there, and you kind of get friendships and you can get some romance. And the best part was that you can romance a girlie from the video shop.
Yep.
Her name is Angie and I love her. But she left me.
Yeah.
So I don't love her that much. But I it was great because it's set in the 80s. So I thought for sure it wouldn't be queer. And then I kept getting these hints that Angie was flirting with me. And I was like, okay. And then we got to kiss her in a car. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, it is queer. We was blessed on this day.
Mhm.
Yeah. It just came out on Nintendo, but it's been out on Steam for a while now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I made Ivy download it.
Yeah, by buying it for me.
Oh yeah, that too.
Already.
Yeah, I'm a sugar mama.
Yeah. It took me 2 days. But it was amazing. Yeah.
I know it's not a massively long gameplay. And for Nintendo, the graphics kept kind of pixelating a little bit. Oh, but you get to turn the radio on when you get in the van. And
Yeah.
there's some real bangers on there.
Sure.
I think the songs were made for the game.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily the most 80s songs I've ever heard, but they are bangers. I've been singing them all week.
I get it.
It's a good game. It's a really good game. it's like if Mail Time wasn't set in a forest and you was just actually a 40-year-old white woman going back to the suburbs. But no, but the scenery is so pretty. It's set in Oregon in a small town and there's mountains everywhere. It's so
There's
cozy and
fox.
escapist.
There was
Oh
a
yeah, there's
fox
foxes
and
and deers.
rabbits and
Yeah.
deers. Yeah,
And porch swings.
yeah, yeah.
What
Anyway.
about you? What have you been playing?
Well, other than that, I also played The Juggler's Tale, which is a very short, I would say it's a cozy game. It's a little on the creepy side, which I really enjoyed. It's like very cute and adorable, but extremely creepy. And I really loved it. And you play as a puppet, and the puppeteer is narrating the story. And in the story at the beginning, you're like part of a circus because you're a juggler and you want to see the world. And so you escape the circus master or whatnot. And you have to like figure out how to keep escaping and trying to find your way throughout the world. And it was very quick. I still my great idea was starting to play it at like 11 o'clock and I stopped at 2:30. Um
Mm.
so yeah, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun, really
Yeah,
cute.
she
And
made me download it.
I did. It's one of those games that's constantly on sale on Nintendo Store and was very cheap and it was very much worth it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun.
I was doing good. Like I was back on like the big game fix with Red Dead Redemption. And then you started playing Juggler's Tale and now I'm back to just wanting all the indie games there and the cozy ones.
Same. So of course, because I finished one game, I bought like three more and then Ray
Yeah.
found the like for me. So
Mm.
I still have many games to play and I'm really excited to get to them. I feel like I'm once again back into the small games, which is weird because I think like last year around this time we also got a lot into the little into the short games.
It checks out because my
For you,
brain does that thing where
yeah.
like I'm always in the mood from what I did exactly this time last year. Like I've been really in the mood for The Last of Us. And then I
Yeah.
realized that I just finished watching The Last of Us this time last year.
I get it. I get it. It's the same like I was watching Grace around like September of previous year. So last year I got back I was rewatching it because like it was the same time. And the same with Office. I watch it every Christmas. Basically, to me
Yeah.
that's my Christmas show. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really enjoying those. Yeah. It feels good because I also been reading more a lot now, and it feels like I'm back into being me because I've been like missing these very
Yeah.
integral part of me.
Yeah.
That's
You
great.
get it.
It's
And
great.
it's also just nice to play games that you know you can finish
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah, that's true.
Not because you want them to be over quickly, but just because like I'm really bad because I'm such a mood player. I never finish like I've not finished Skyrim and I've had that like 3 years.
Yeah,
So it's nice to kind of cleanse the palate with a shorter game where you get a satisfying ending as well.
yeah. And other than that, of course, Fortnite. Fortnite.
Of course,
We've been
Fortnite.
doing very well on Fortnite lately. Let's talk
We've been
about that
getting
for a minute.
we have
One day we won 3 times after
in
each
a
other.
row.
In a row. That has never happened. The next
No.
day we won twice. I think we had like one game between that we didn't win, but we were like third.
Yeah,
Yesterday we won also, I think.
we did.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
It's
But it makes me wary because like we also go through a lot of periods where we don't even get into the top 10 that often.
that's true.
So I'm scared of what might come soon. But we're nearly at a new season.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we know that we're doing the best when we have quests to focus on
Yeah, it's
every
true. We
single
have
time because we don't pay attention that we actually are the last ones. And then it's a little surprise when we win.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
And it's good. We've been looking out for Kesha because Kesha's now playing Fortnite with the Lady Gaga skin, which is very iconic.
So that's like a quest in its own, right?
It is, yeah.
So we watched Bottoms
We did watch Bottoms.
and we watched Good Grief.
We did watch Good Grief.
Quite the vibes of the movies don't match at all.
No, but the common denominator is that they're both queer.
Yeah.
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 And we enjoyed them both very much.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say though, I think I was expecting from the Good Grief, I was expecting something more gut-wrenching. Like it was sad and I enjoyed it a lot. But I think I was just expecting myself to cry for the entire 2 hours,
Yeah, I get
which I
that.
didn't. But I
So,
was.
yeah, for those who don't know, Good Grief is like it's
It's about grief.
written about grief and goodness. And it's written and produced and
Directed, I think also.
directed and all the other things by Dan Levy of Schitt's Creek. So obviously when we see Dan Levy, we want to watch Dan Levy. So
Yeah.
and he loses his husband and then he kind of finds out his husband was having an affair, and it's more about like the exploration of how his friendship dynamics kind of are affected by that and like the way that he has to move on from it.
Mhm.
And I agree. I thought I didn't cry actually,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of it was because it was set in this glossy backdrop where they were clearly rich. There was no like they had a lot of money. They was living in this amazing house in London and they had a Paris apartment. And I was like, wow, mental health, like money. I know you can be mentally ill and have money, but when you have money, you can also do things to make you feel better, like move to the seaside or go to Paris.
Yeah.
And I think that was the one thing that I didn't really connect with through that.
Or take a break without the need to work and actually
Yeah.
take care of yourself and your mental health. Yeah. Those little things, you know.
Yeah, and you can like, and he was like a painter and illustrator, right? And he just stopped doing that with grief, and he just could. He was
Yeah.
like, nah, I like painting connects me to my grief. I don't want to feel it, so I won't.
Yeah.
And it was just very fascinating as some like an autistic person who's kind of stuck in this environment where nothing makes me feel better because, you know, I'm stuck at home and stuff. It was just that part I didn't connect with so much.
I guess maybe that's also why I like didn't feel that as much as I thought I would, because I really, to be fair, I went into it comparing it to Sorry for Your Loss, which Elizabeth Olsen stars in. She also produced it. It was like a short 2 seasons on Facebook Watch. And that one was like 3 months after her husband dies. And that was more a lot more agony for me because like she had to go back to work and she had to move back with her mom and her sister. And there were a lot of those relationships, and like while having like going through grief in in the time where everybody around you like expects you to go back to normal.
Yeah.
Which also wasn't the case here because they were really respectful of what he went through, and it was even year later they were
Yeah,
like,
it was like a very healthy, glossy take on grief. I don't think it was bad or like shallow. I think that there was like a lot of valid. I've never like suffered from that sort of grief myself, but like from what I can tell, it was fine. It was just a different perspective than what I was expecting. And yeah. And I did like that, not because Dan Levy probably would have written it perhaps with an inkling that he was going to play that character. And he wrote him with flaws in a way that like I got angry with him because like his friends took care of him for a year and then he was still like lost in his own journey and kind of didn't pay them any mind. And I enjoyed that a lot as a people pleaser. Like
oh, yeah.
like I ended up empathizing a lot more for Thomas, who was played by that guy from Yesterday. Who's his name?
Oh yeah, that's where he was from. I was like, I know him from somewhere.
Yeah,
can't connect him. I connected literally everyone else.
Himesh Patel. Yeah, and because they were exes as well. So I really was rooting for them, and they didn't. That spoiler alert again. That wasn't. They didn't end up together, and I get why that was the case.
Yeah.
But it was very gentle to see a man taking care of another man, and like male friendship as well,
Yeah.
even though they're supposed to be together.
I also think one thing that kept like bringing me out of the story was there was a lot of like really beautiful lines and metaphors, but it got like too artistic and too like that thing. It wasn't too real for me. Like
Yeah,
the way
you
they
don't talk
spoke
to
to,
strangers that
yeah,
way.
yeah. It was one of those.
Yeah, and I love films like that. I love like seeing a more artsy take on human
Oh yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you always know that it's a very poetic way of framing it, and not like the gritty, like realistic
Mhm.
way that most people experience things.
Yeah. It was almost more like it gave me more vibes of like a theater play, which is more artistic like that than an actual movie.
Yeah, I think that I don't think it belonged with Netflix.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me, like
Mhm.
with the usual dramas that we get on Netflix, like not to say Netflix is for like lower art or anything, but Netflix is usually a lot more straightforward in the story and how it's being told. I don't know.
It felt like an indie movie. And
Felt
even on IMDb, I think that the poster there is it's like a painting.
like, oh, really?
Yeah. Let me find it.
I wonder who did those paintings because they were gorgeous.
It's some of Dan's friend from Canada.
Oh,
It's
Canada.
it's
I
in
love.
the yeah. Where the fuck that came from?
I don't know.
Because
Oh,
In Czech, it's Canada, so it's not that different.
well, if you're from Canada, you're Canadian, so I guess so is that.
Oh yeah, maybe that's where I was going. Yeah, so it's like that, and it looks like a poster for a museum.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the thing maybe like if I would have seen that poster
Yeah,
because I only really saw the thumbnails from Netflix.
yeah.
Maybe I would have expected it to be more like that.
That's true.
But Dan Levy is like an amazing human being. Like he
Mhm.
writes well, he directs well, he acts real. I didn't know what to expect of him in this because like I'm used to see him as David Rose, like very like exaggerated. And even when we saw him in
Happiest season.
Happy Season, he was like just a comedy relief.
Mm-hmm.
So to see him like in a very raw, solemn role was very interesting.
Yeah. Bottoms, on the other hand, to me felt like absolute fever dream, and I loved every minute of it. It was
It was
so insane.
it
And I
was.
kind of knew that going into it because I knew it took us so long to watch and it took me so long to like get to it properly that seen a few spoilers and I knew how it would end with a
Oh,
mass murder. I was like, those are teenage girls playing by adults. How did that happen? Is that supposed to be a comedy? And then I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm in.
it's so good. It gave me big book smart vibes. Like it
Mhm.
was very kind of comedy driven, but yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like for those who don't know, it's like set in high school and these queer women really want to date these other women in high school, so they do it under the guise of like a women's fight club, and it turns into something a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And it's just absurd and great.
One of the scenes that made me like scream out in laughter, and even though it's extremely sad because that's a woman's experience, but they were sitting in a circle and were like, well, what was your like, when did you get assaulted last time or something like that, or
Mm.
and I was like, this is like it's so funny in the vibes, but
Yeah.
like that's her life. Like that's so normal. How is it so normal?
I know. They did that really well, like make it comedic, but also really highlighting that it's a common women experience to be assaulted and treated like shit by men.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know that Ayo had-
Everybody knows Io. Everybody knows her. Come on.
I didn't know she was in it. I've been watching The Bear and I'm obsessed with her now, but I didn't know she was in this one. And that was a pleasant surprise. She was playing a lesbian. And Nicholas Galitzine was there, who played in Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Whoever is his like manager is doing absolutely phenomenal job in like in his filmography. Like it's the most insane one I've ever seen. Are you kidding me?
He could never be typecast
No.
because he's been everything. He's been a fucking Republican. He's been a gay prince, and he's been the stupid himbo jock.
And now he's gonna be another gay prince, but in a
Yeah,
historical settings.
with Vincent Van Gogh from Doctor Who.
Yeah, and Julianne Moore as his mother. Are you kidding me?
And he's gonna be Harry Styles inspired rock star with Anne Hathaway.
And he was a prince in like the Amazon Prime Cinderella with Camila Cabello.
Yeah.
He sings Seven Nations Army then.
Did he? I
Yeah,
don't.
that's every time we play it on festival, I just see his face.
Yeah, he's an interesting human being. He just thought of when he dropped his handbag on the red carpet. He's so funny, man. Cigarettes
He's
spilled out
absolutely
of his purse.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Honestly.
he
Yeah.
needs to be studied.
Yeah.
Ah, wonderful. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I whatever he's gonna come with next, I'll be seated.
Oh yeah.
I did because I really hated Purple Hearts. And so afterwards I was like, yuck, I don't want to see his face ever again. Like I got like a visceral reaction. And I don't think I did we connect him being in as the prince immediately? What's his
No, not immediately. We didn't know
No.
him.
So I don't know. Something changed in me after Red White. I don't know. And
No.
it's weird. It's weird.
It is weird. It is weird. But yeah.
His comedic timing was absolutely excellent though.
Somebody said just act silly and goofy, and he went with it, and he
Yeah.
did do.
The scene where Io hits him with the car, which by the way, she just taps him. I've seen that scene like a bunch of times on Twitter. I watched
So
it every time. I was sobbing with laughter every time. And even though I've seen it so many times, when we watched the movie, I had the same exact reaction as for the
No.
first time. It was so good.
It's so good. It was really funny.
Yeah.
It was like very farcical and satirical, and it was just really good, feel good comedy that has like kind of something underneath it
Yeah.
that comments on dynamics in society. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just makes me happy that it's slowly becoming a more normal thing to have sapphics and gay men on screen as the main characters.
Yeah.
And a black woman as well.
Yeah.
A black lesbian woman.
Yeah.
And in Good Grief, Himesh Patel was there as well. Like
And opposite Io was, I think her name is Havana or something like some. She's Asian and
oh
also
yeah.
quite a gay character.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, she's the most divine human being I've ever seen. Every picture, just I'm like, that's not a real person. I don't know what she keeps drinking, what kind of water, but I mean, holy goddamn.
God has favorites.
Honestly. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. It was really, really fun movie.
And it's like because we're getting more queer creators able to make those movies. It feels more authentic to the queer community as well. Like we weren't the butt of the joke in this film.
Yeah.
Like,
Even though like I really loved how they were the lame gays.
oh yeah,
It was just very funny.
yeah. But they got their own back. They got to fight back.
Yeah.
They said fuck the patriarchy.
They did.
And they left
really
men
nice.
slaughtered on the field in pineapple juice.
It was the fight was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. It was so funny. And it was just I don't honestly I really love the movie. I don't think I can say anything else. I'll just love everything about it.
It was really funny. And now I want to watch Booksmart again.
I know. I'll say one thing. Elizabeth Banks was the producer of it.
Yeah, that's
And
surprising.
she also like I knew that, and I know she produces a lot of these type of movies, which are very like fun and very colorful,
Yeah.
but also have a lot of women in it. And
Yeah.
like this is exactly what Natalie Portman should be doing. If you have your own fucking production company, do not keep bitching about not having women director. Like you can fucking hire them. Honestly.
Yeah. Exactly. Shall we get into some tea?
Let's do it.
Okay. Do you have any tea?
Well, I have only a lot of the Taylor Swift one that I
Tell
kept.
us about Taylor Swift. We have beef with Taylor Swift. Swifties, switch off. You're not gonna like what we have to say.
Like I didn't care about her before, but now I get so angry every time I hear about her, I see her, I'm turning into the hater category, right? I am very much proud Taylor Swift hater. I'll say that. So,
And validly.
yeah, and let's get into it. Her jet logs, once again, very high. A lot of celebrities were above her, but like taking 30 minutes flight when you can go buy a car for 40 minutes is an interesting choice.
To see your boyfriend.
To see her boyfriend. I feel like she has to take much longer to get into a car, drive to an airport, have the flight, and then drive with the car from the airport. That are you telling me that that doesn't take you longer than the 40-minute drive by car straight?
I
Way.
know. But everybody's like, oh, but she had a stalker. And it's like, and she also has a humongous security team. I'm sure she'll be fine taking a private car instead of a private jet.
Also, the jet logs are very much not private. They're
Yeah.
very much visible online.
Yeah.
And
Thank God.
yeah, and you can look it up. And there is this college kid who does that, and he's posting that on Twitter. So he has few accounts. He's posting for more than Taylor Swift, and he's just taking it, sending like showing people her jet logs, which again are very much a public record. Because she's very too much busy to talk about Palestine or anything, she has time to sign a cease cease and
Cease and
desist
desist.
letter to the college kid. And of course, like she can't sue him because he's not doing anything illegal, even though her team tried to like make it look like he's doing some stalkerish behavior, even though once again those are very much public record. One thing he did change after of course Swifties got to him is that he's posting them now a day later instead of on the day. Yeah, so that's how her what her PR team had to fix afterwards. And of course another thing they had to fix with a really clearly staged photo is the way she ignored Celine Dion when getting her award. Even though Celine Dion is very much sick, she has what is it like stiff person syndrome, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So this very much very sick, like worldwide famous superstar came in to hand her the award and she didn't even look at her.
No.
Good riddance, man. honestly.
can't not think about the fucking video of Mariah Carey getting a reward from Stevie Wonder. Nobody guided. Mariah Carey forgot Stevie Wonder was blind and kind of just walked past him. And poor Stevie Wonder is trying to hand her the microphone.
Honestly, it was. It's not funny, but it was extremely funny because I think there was that sort of like awkward moment when I think neither of them knew what to do.
Yeah.
So both of them like decided to do something. So Maria went to the front of the stage, and Stevie went to grab a microphone to hand it to her, and he just handed it into thin air. There's no one next to him.
We live in such an important cultural time.
Oh gosh. Anyway,
Continue with Taylor.
yeah, let's get to her.
We got to her already, but carry on.
Huh?
We got to her already, but carry on.
Yeah, there's still so much more, and I deleted some of my notes because I was collecting all the notes on that one day, because then I wanted to bitch with Rage, and she was like, "We can keep it for the tea," and I was like, "Yeah, great." I deleted half of it. Still, I have so much of it, so let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
It was Grammy Awards, right? So Grammys are one of the most like top-notch awards, right? That's the like Oscar
they're
for
like-
music.
Yeah, they're the most like esteemed musician awards.
Yeah. So there are her peers, not her fans. Yeah, Girly announced a new album there, and people in other musicians did not seem to enjoy that one for
Well, no,
understandable.
because as she accepted her award, she announced her album name. So she already knew she was going to win. And then she was like, anyway, I gotta go post on Instagram.
Yeah. Not
The award show.
weird vibe she chose. So she started off by saying this is my 13th Grammy or whatnot. When there is Beyonce who still won the Album of the Year award.
Yeah.
By the way, it was won by only 3 Black women in history, I think. And Taylor Swift has a 4th one. Miley
That's
Cyrus
great.
won her first Grammy award ever.
Like, objectively, Taylor Swift is not as strong a singer as most of her peers. Like, we have to be honest, she doesn't have the vocal range. Her lyrics are often Instagram poetry vibes. Like, she makes some bangers. I won't deny that. I listened to a lot of her songs, and she was in my top listened artists last year because clearly I'm mentally ill. But like, to pretend that she's more talented than she is very strange. And at this point, her fans are more of a cult. Like, they don't seem to see reality where she's
Absolutely.
actually a white woman who got lucky and not a very considerate white woman for a self-proclaimed activist.
Absolutely. The name of her album is Tortured Poets Department. That's an album about her ex Joe Alwyn. And he's in a
Yeah.
group chat called Tortured Man Club. They broke up 2 years ago. I don't know, maybe even longer. I mean, once again, like I find it very strange to if I was with someone and they were next to me writing a song about their ex. I don't know. I don't think I would be so chilled about it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, when she started, everybody was like, "Oh, she needs to write songs acknowledging that sometimes it's her fault." Like, "Oh my God, she's always writing songs about men." And at that point, yeah, like it was a feminist issue where women couldn't write songs without being made to without being slut shamed and whatnot. But now she's on what, like, God knows how many albums, and she goes out of her way to make sure everybody knows which man she's writing about of that time. And that's a weird thing to do. Like, her personal relationships are not personal.
It is really weird thing to do, especially when now Joe was like, I don't want to be in the narrative, and her cult was like, oh, because the dirt laundry will be aired and stuff like that. I'm like, honestly, the relationship ended years ago. Move the fuck on.
And Joe Alwyn isn't like a very public man anyway. Like I
No.
don't know if he's on social media, but I rarely see anything about him online out of relation to Taylor Swift.
But that's the exact, like, the way her call is shaping the narrative is really fascinating, because when they were dating, they were like, oh my God, he protects her privacy. It's so nice. He's so considerate. And
Yeah.
now, when she's seen partying a lot outside with her new boyfriend, they were like, oh my God, he was keeping her inside. Look how she's enjoying the life outside. Are you kidding me? Honestly.
It's really weird because like it's just I don't get it. She's so idolized and I don't know for what reason is she?
No.
She's not done anything good. Like she she probably more than anybody else in the industry right now has the platform to speak up on Palestine. She's already kind of moved away from the structures that were oppressing her as a musician. So she has nothing to lose on that front.
Mhm.
Like she won't lose her job, she won't lose her fans at that point. She's so fucking famous and so idolized that she could speak out about Palestine and make a real difference. And
Not
she
to
doesn't.
not to mention that there are it's proven that when she spoke for people to go vote for Biden, the numbers went much higher. She
Mm.
literally has the power to change outcome of the world. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Insane.
I can't imagine having a platform like that and being so complicit. Like the award shows in general are pissing me off right now because so like hardly any of them are using that platform and that opportunity to speak out about what's going on in the world. And it is very Hunger Games to see like all these elaborately dressed people on red carpets having a grand old time while a whole country is being genocided.
Well, there was a singer during the memoriam part, and she said like free Palestine, call for ceasefire or something like that. Her mic was cut off right after
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So like it's absolutely ridiculous. Are you kidding me?
But they wouldn't cut off Taylor Swift's mic.
No, no,
There's no way. Like
absolutely
she that's the thing. Like if she spoke up and did something,
not. Hmm.
they know who to watch and who to oppress,
Hmm.
and they can't oppress somebody that big now.
Yeah.
And I genuinely just can't imagine having that platform and not doing anything with it. Like the amount of money she must have, the amount of people who, and people still excuse her actions. And it's like, this here is not a good person. She's not a
No.
good person.
And then she goes out to party and go on a Super Bowl with her boyfriend and is there and is literally everywhere, but she doesn't have time to do one single fucking Instagram post that would change outcome of the world. Are you honestly? Ugh.
You know.
I just that's why I am now certified Taylor Swift hater. I just hate
Yeah.
her with burning passion.
And rightly so, I feel like at this
Yeah.
point, it's just it's out of hand.
Yeah.
The amount it's just weird. It's weird to be part of a society that's it's just strange.
Hmm.
Fans she could like shit on a rhino or something and her fans would try and find a reason for that. And a good reason. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like she could do the weirdest most horrible shit ever and she would be allowed to.
Yeah. Anyway.
Another thing that annoys me is that everybody keeps fan casting her as Evelyn Hugo. Evelyn Hugo is a Cuban woman who was made to look like a white woman in the books. And even Taylor Jenkins Reid like kind of added to that with a tweet, like supporting it. And I was like, I don't trust that author anyway, because a lot of people have called her a Zionist. I haven't looked into why that is. And I can't pretend I don't enjoy her books, but that's a weird thing to do, man. That's
Hmm.
just a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess there's not enough blonde woman to cast her as. What other fun stuff you have to spill?
oh my goodness. Well, I remember Kate Corain.
How could I forget?
She she review bombed all her fellow debuts, all targeted all of them people of color. and then she tried to blame it on an imaginary woman called Lily and faked a Discord chat between her and Lily. And then she blamed it on addiction and mental health and said she was going to rehab or something. And she was dropped by a publisher and agent and whatnot. Rightly so. Well, she came back. Somebody talked to her from the Daily Beast, I think it was called. And the author of the article clearly was kind of just relaying what Kate said, but didn't seem to agree with what she said. But this time she blamed her actions on autism, which is great. So she's just like, well, I've blamed two stigmatized things, addiction and mental illness. Now I'm going to go for neurodivergence as well. That can be blamed for my appalling racist actions. So that was great. And then the same day, those authors who were targeted started noticing those accounts, more accounts, review bombing them again. So either Kate Corain decided to got out of rehab and fired up the old Goodreads, or she has some like sympathizer copycats out there, which is why there's been 2 articles posted that allows her to be sympathized with. And that's why that's damaging, because there's been no articles for the authors targeted who lost out and whose livelihoods could be affected by what happened. So yeah, I don't know where she'll go from here. I wonder if, like, if the industry will have her back, or if she'll kind of write under a pen name in the future. But she's clearly just not a good person. Like, being autistic does not make you a racist, and it certainly does not give you the energy to make several good like, I'm telling you now, if I'm mentally ill and I'm autistic, and if I had enough energy to open Goodreads and create several accounts and review bomb a lot of people, I actually would just go outside, touch some grass, and enjoy my life again. Like, being disabled actually is a very hard thing to do, and it doesn't usually drive you to do something so time and energy consuming and something so vindictive. Yeah, so there's that. And then the final drama, Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which you're reading, got a special edition cover illustrated by Leni Kaufman, who's a very, very talented artist and has illustrated like Icebreaker, Baby Moon or Bust, I want to say.
What?
Delilah. Yeah, Baby Moon, the pregnant woman on the cover. And the Delilah Green Doesn't Care trilogy. She's very good. She's very talented. Olivia Dade, she's done her newest one, I think. But the special edition cover looks nothing like the original and looks very same. Like, you can't deny that these covers all look pretty similar to each other. Like, the characters are cartoons. They're looking ahead, not at each other. Then usually not even touching. They're usually blonde, skinny girlies and tall men. And the only thing to indicate that this would be a paranormal romance, which it is, and which the first cover conveys perfectly, is that there's a wolf in the background. So people had things to say about that. I had things to say about it because, like, publishers are clearly not working hard to like give authors an edge or a voice. They'd rather just do what's been done already to get more money in from fans of that, which I get it, it's a business, but it's also pretty shit and devalues the content a lot and also it's very misleading. Like, first of all, somebody said in the thread that I was tweeting in that they thought that these books were all by the same author because, like, they're such similar styles that they just assumed it was all the same author. And they also could very easily be mistaken for like young adult stuff, and they usually have a lot of steamy content inside.
Yeah.
So I had something to say about it. I don't like the way that romance is kind of being reduced to this one kind of cover, and if you don't have that cover by that artist, then you're less likely to be a bestseller. Um, and then it blew up because apparently people were being mean to Lena Kaufman about her art. I didn't see that. It
I
was
saw a lot of it.
okay, fair
It
enough.
was on my timeline, a lot of it. I think like you can always expect when some of this drama happens, when like people are talking about issues in publishing, that very quickly someone will try to be edgy and turn it
Yeah.
personal. Like
Yeah.
every single time that happened. And I keep saying a lot of the negative things, like the
Hmm.
personal ones, yeah.
Yeah. And that's like I would be pissed off too, but somebody else said like authors are never allowed to respond to criticism. Like when we get bad reviews, we're not allowed. So it like to kind of sway the conversation from what was about the publishing industry as a whole and the romance genre and the way that it's kind of being affected by these very samey covers to like to just narrowing it down to like the personal attack and making people feel guilty for having an opinion on a very famous author's cover was a very weird thing. I don't know, like she had a right to tweet about it, I guess, but like it kind of swayed from the point that people were trying to make in the first place.
Yeah,
And
yeah, but
then
that's
other
once
people,
again, it's because like people take it to a completely different
oh yeah,
level that is just like that's
that's
not
what book
okay.
Twitter is
Yeah.
like. Yeah, I don't know. And then it's a very complex situation. Like I'm not necessary I don't I just thought, you know, she's hired by the big five quite often. I'm sure she'll be okay if a few people don't like her art. Like I
Yeah.
know that's very like insensitive to say, but like if I was a best-selling author and people said I was terrible at it, I wouldn't really care if I was getting in money and being successful. I don't know,
Yeah.
like
I don't know. I guess once again, like when art is such a personal thing,
it is such a
and
person.
yeah, and it's not very easy to hold on to because there's always gonna be someone who's sort of gonna take over soon, which I'm pretty sure is gonna happen. So I get that if she panicked a little bit. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
look, I get it. I can't pretend that I wouldn't react and be upset if it was me. But again, like most of the big majority of it, all the I must follow the right people because all the tweets that I saw was just a commentary on the industry. And
Mm.
then people was taking that as an attack on Ali Hazelwood, or using it as an excuse to attack Ali Hazelwood. And like it's just like once again, wi female authors, women authors, romance authors just have to have there's just an opinion on everything. Like my issue was with the way the publishers were handling
Yeah.
certain and like just for me it's like we're trying so hard to make a diverse space in the romance genre with queer characters and stuff. So I just think publishers should try a little bit harder to make diverse
Hmm.
covers in that vein instead of just hiring the same not even hiring the same artist, but just the way that it's the same style with the same poses and the same faces.
Just like before Bright even came out, like a week before that, I've already
Yeah.
seen so much hate about like t directly towards Ally. Just on TikTok when people were reading her book and they were like getting like early copies and bitching about it already. And I'm really tired of it because like there's so much negativity every single time. And I'm like these books are such a like they make me feel so much joy because they're just so fun and
Yeah.
adorable. And every single time someone hates on it just because she comes from fiction and because she's a woman
Yeah.
who writes like are the best books in the world? No, but they make me feel good to shut the fuck up. That's one thing.
They don't have to be the
And
best books in the world. Like, not
yeah,
every book has to be a literary masterpiece. Sometimes it's
I
just
just
about two people falling in love.
yeah, and I don't want to read literary masterpieces. They're so difficult for my brain.
That's
And
because literary masterpieces are always considered to be pretentious, flowery writing made by
yeah,
men who think they have achieved a higher plane of existence and consciousness
yeah.
by saying like cringy, like poetic shit and
Mm.
using a thesaurus.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like how we consider books is actually very much framed by like male masculinity and
Yeah.
the classics that we've grown up with, such as like F. Scott Fitzgerald and stuff.
Hell yeah. And about the covers, I really like the original cover or like for the actual book because it's so vibey. It's
Yeah,
so
I know.
vibey. The same with like God, what was it by S.T. Gibson?
Oh yeah.
It sets the vibes absolutely
Yeah.
perfectly.
And that's what a book cover is supposed to
Yeah.
do. And that's why
Yes.
people were annoyed because the original cover was gorgeous. And yeah, this is only a special edition. It doesn't matter too much
No.
if it doesn't match or not. But like I personally think it still should. Like it's sending a different message.
Mm,
And I don't get why you would stray so far from it. Like
mm,
because then it really doesn't match the content.
yeah.
Because like on the first cover you see that the woman has fangs. Like it's very clear that this is a paranormal romance. There's a moon and a wolf. Ivy has it for those watching YouTube. And then the special edition cover, she just looks like a blonde woman. She doesn't give vampire vibe. She's wearing a nice flowery dress. The
Mhm.
man's just kind of standing there, doesn't look particularly powerful. Wolves hovering in a background, could just be a nice big old dog. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. That's why we were initially upset, or like well, why I was initially upset because this obsession with like following the market and is it's just watering down what could be
Mhm.
so something really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's nothing again, like that's nothing on Ali Hazelwood. Like I said in the thread as well, you don't actually get to choose all the time what
Mhm.
covers look like. I know that I certainly didn't when Summer at the Scottish Castle was being produced. I had to keep asking for the character on the cover to look bigger because she was a plus size woman, and even now, she can still be passed off as a slim woman.
Mhm.
Like, you just don't always get that choice as an author. It's really about how the publishers want to sell it, and I just don't think they're doing justice to some really great books, whether you think
Mhm.
they're good or just Wattpad shit or what, which is wrong, by the way. Like, I don't think they're doing justice to a really important genre.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then one more thing I also have to mention. I don't think we've talked about it last time because I'm really upset about it still a little bit. Um, there was a writer, Lucina Con something.
I don't
She's
know.
having her second book out. The first was like The Brightest Place or
Oh,
something. And the second book is a romance between ballerina and her physical therapist. And someone posted a fake page
okay.
of the book.
Yeah.
And it was really, it was like horrible, but kind of clearly that it's like meant to
Mock
be
it.
a joke.
Mhm.
People took it like seriously. And it did, I feel like there must have been such a bad damage to like her name and her brand just because of it.
Yeah.
Because on the same day when I went to TikTok, I saw some really big creators talking about like, see, and now this is why it's damaging to do this and that. And I'm like, but it's fucking fake. Are you kidding me? So, and I honestly, I would absolutely have like a complete fucking breakdown if someone did that to me. I can't
Honestly.
imagine. Like, it's her second book. She writes silly little romances that are
Yeah,
supposed to be like cute and stuff and
the
whatnot.
titles don't make no damn sense. Like the second book's title was something like I don't
Yeah.
know, like Tears of Sun or so I don't know,
Yeah.
like
I don't know.
something
But then we have Samantha Young, who is always you, about you, you and
Oh
me,
yeah.
me and you, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
but that's the thing, like just because it doesn't necessarily sound like the best book in the world, and like it might be a little bit not
if
to
it's not for
everybody's
you,
taste.
that's fucking fine.
Yeah.
But it also like has you think how people view romance if they
Oh
actually
yeah,
believed it.
absolutely. Like it's not like it's that bad that they have to make fun of it. Like people are always waiting for the opportunity
Hmm.
to make fun of and devalue the genre. Like
Yeah.
it was the same thing with the romance, fantasy, romantasy, erotica debate the other week
Oh
that we
yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
in the last
Hmm.
episode. Like genres predominantly led by men
Hmm.
never get that kind of
No.
flack. Like I can name loads of like crime books that all have the same cover and stuff.
Yeah.
Or like or have stupid title or whatever, or a premise or whatever, but but it's just normal. Like that's literature, and we're just, I don't know.
And not to mention the constant like bitching about enemies to lovers in like
Oh,
our normal word setting. Like, it's not that fucking deep. I don't know. I worked in a corporate offices. I had my enemies there. They weren't hot, so I didn't have desire to fuck them. Maybe things were different if they were hot. I don't know.
yeah,
But there are people that I actually despise and wanted to throw off the window.
yeah.
Like, and
It's
so what? So what if
it
they don't
really
just want to
pisses
kill
me
each
off.
other?
I know. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
Like, if a book is set in a corporate setting and it says enemies to lovers, no,
Yeah.
there's not going to be any fucking swords or a rival between clans or whatever
Yeah.
you expect in a fantasy book. You can put it in the context of that setting and assume they just don't really like each
I
other.
know. That's what it is. It's about context. And
Context!
Americans refuse to see it because they think their country is the entire fucking world.
Yeah.
Oh,
I do agree that like other terms would be better, but the readers are the ones who built this community, built like this business on tropes, on how tropes work. So if people are using those tropes in like hyperbolic ways to make it sell, then they're gonna do that because they need readers. That's how the business works.
and also like it's not I don't think it's ever meant to be literal. Like to me that never
No.
was meant to be literal. It's the same thing like if you see three shades of blue and you're gonna name all of them blue, no one's gonna fucking go after you to punch you in the face because it's turquoise and not blue. Like, are you kidding me?
Exactly, man.
Oh, I always get so enraged because it's honestly it makes me feel so like a
It
very
just it
specific way of desperate because I keep seeing this unnecessary hate and negativity.
No, yeah, that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
unnecessary. It's
Yeah.
like people are always going out of their way to make romance authors feel like they don't belong in their own community.
Mhm.
And that's what it's I just don't get it. Like I don't know anybody who hates creators more than readers hate authors.
Mhm.
On book Twitter especially, like why do they hate authors so fucking much? Why are they there just to make fun of everything?
Yeah. And same with TikTok, like that all the time. I keep seeing why I DNF this book. What my
I
5 top
hate
most
those.
hated books of last year.
Yeah.
Why?
Authors have to be on social media in this day and age to sell themselves because let me tell you, publishers are not doing it for us anymore. They don't market us the way that they might have once. They expect us to have an online presence.
Mhm.
So if you're just going on those spaces to bitch about authors are gonna see it and we don't want to see it. But it's
Yeah.
so widespread at the minute that we don't have a choice and we're expected to not react.
Mhm.
And
Like, do you
at some
remember?
point we will.
Yeah, when one of the romance authors was like, I don't want to be tagged in reviews that was like 3 stars. And people were like, oh, you think 3-star review is bad? And we're piling on her because of it. Like, because she
Yeah.
said she didn't want to be tagged in the reviews. And
Yeah.
they hated her for it. Are you kidding me?
That's the thing, you can't win because if she would
No.
have reacted to a 3-star review, people would be like, "Well, why are you reading your reviews?" Like you just can't win. Like it's very frustrating to be part of. And I do think as a queer author, you can avoid it a little bit more, or I've been able to because I have a lot of queer readers, queer author friends who all have a similar take and we're not like necessarily next in that like traditional romance scene. But it's still just exhausting to see it every fucking day. Like there's no right way to do anything.
No. And it honestly, China, just me like seeing it is really chipping away at me because it like it has the power to ruin my day just because I get so upset.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many people I block, how many times I put I don't want to see something similar. It doesn't matter. I'll see it
Hmm.
every single day, never
Yeah.
like nonetheless.
Same
And
with Taylor Swift.
same with fucking Taylor Swift. I
Can't
have
get
her
her off the
muted
fucking
everywhere.
timeline. She's
Honestly, she's
everywhere.
everywhere. And like, especially when it's about things that bring you joy, which is such
Yeah,
a like very like it's not easy commodity to get.
it isn't.
And like when you like something and it brings you joy and it's not necessarily like extremely problematic like how many things are.
Yeah.
It really like I honestly I want to cry now because it just It's so exhausting. It's so
It
exhausting.
is. And from an author's perspective, like, how do we write when you're constantly exposed to that? Like,
Yeah.
because everything's wrong. So how do you write in the hopes that you'll become part of the industry and get published and have a career out of it?
Mm.
When all you're exposed to all the time is negative feedback on every single thing, every harmless trope, like
Mhm.
there's just you feel like you're always going to do something wrong or that something that people won't like, even when it's a really like superficial thing.
I recently, well, it's a while ago, but it's still in my head. I saw someone say that like Gen Z and this entire generation, they're like very pro, let's save the world. But when it comes to individuals, they're ruthless. Like
Yeah.
they will like murder you with words. And I cannot like
Yeah.
stop seeing that because yeah, they will fight for your rights, but then
Hmm.
to your face, they will like absolutely destroy you.
Yeah.
And they're always like, yay, mental health, but again, like absolutely destroy you. And it's really it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really difficult.
I think social media in general has a lot to blame for it, a
Hmm.
lot to answer for, because obviously you was never meant to be like a few and like generations ago, people were just reading the fucking newspaper. That's the only way they got their news.
Yeah, once a day. And then they
Yeah,
moved on.
they didn't have like constant news channels. They didn't have social media. They weren't scrolling all the fucking time. They got on with their day, and they didn't
Even
have to know what was happening all the time.
even when it came to us, like internet was a place and there was that one physical computer in your living room. Like that was
Yeah.
one place. And then you turned it off and you moved on and you were out of it. Now
Hmm.
with your phone, you're constantly on it. You're constantly
Yeah,
in it. And it's really difficult to be able to live in that.
it is. So like just so many opinions.
Hmm.
And you're right about like the individual thing, because even when things started ramping up with Palestine, I saw more threads about people who were
Hmm.
problematic, people, authors who support Israel, and some of them weren't even correct, that like trying to just find reasons to hate random authors, then focusing on the fact that a whole culture is dying in front of us. And I get like we need to hold people accountable when we
Hmm.
can. But I don't feel like that's a productive way to spend your time when you could be amplifying the voices instead of making the attention on famous Western people.
And it was every time something happens, and it keeps happening every fucking week. I feel I see more tweets being like, if you're not talking about it, you're a piece of shit, more than
Hmm.
actually talking about it. So that's
Yeah,
what we find
yeah.
about most of the things is when someone like I see five fucking tweets in a row saying I'm a piece of shit because I don't talk about it. I don't know what's happening. And honestly, sadly, I live in a country that is very pro-Israeli. Like
Hmm.
and most of the things don't even get to the our news and our like websites and articles. And all information I got was from Twitter, and thank fuck because I have the luxury of speaking English.
Yeah, yeah,
I know
exactly.
my dad doesn't speak English. I know he's watching Czech news. I know his view. I know what he's getting. And then it's actually kind of difficult to do that. So I will not call him piece of shit just because he doesn't know, because he didn't get the information.
Well,
That's
that's the thing.
that's
Yeah.
like a very systematic issue.
Yeah, the whole world was designed that way on purpose. Like you can't know things if you're not given access to that
Yeah.
information. And yet, in an ideal world, everybody would actively go out and search for the correct information and
Mhm.
listen to the people affected. But that's just not the reality. Like a lot, like everybody is an individual and has their own lives, and we're like, it's shit, and people can be really self-absorbed, but that's just the way it is. Like that's the way the
Yeah.
world has been designed to make us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're very lucky that we do kind of get that information to us. I didn't know anything about Palestine until like my early 20s, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And I'd never really felt passionate about it because I still didn't only knew like the basics until recently.
Mm.
Like it's a thing that kind of grows as more attention comes to it. And it,
Mhm.
yeah. But that's the thing. We never hold the right people accountable or responsible. Like, we'll blame an individual for not retweeting a tweet instead of like blaming a whole corporation for donating money to fund the war. Like, I don't get it.
It was the same thing during pandemic, during like the rise of Black Lives Movement. It was the same exact thing. Same
Yeah.
exact thing. Like, we all know that it's very much a systematic issue, but instead of focusing on what to change in the system,
Yeah.
we focus once again which celebrity tweeted this
Mhm.
picture. Like,
Yeah.
that's not the way.
And yeah, you should expect more from celebrities because they have
Mhm.
the platform.
Mhm.
But like, pick your battles as well. Like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna battle Taylor Swift because she is literally the most famous woman in the world right
Mhm.
now. But like, I'm not gonna waste all my time wishing she would say stuff about Palestine. I'm just gonna keep retweeting what I see. And if you are looking for like updates and, you know, to amplify the voices, I would recommend following Bisan from Palestine.
Mhm.
She was a reporter and TikToker before all of this and still is, and she doesn't just share all the bad things, she shares a lot of her culture as well.
Mhm. Anyway, that once again took a turn. And
How we always jump
my cheeks,
jump so far.
my cheeks are really hot because I got really upset. But
I get it.
you can
world's
see it a
just
little
shit.
bit. Yeah, I honestly, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Don't forget, our release list will be going out on the 1st of March.
Yeah.
And we're still posting articles. We posted one recently by Katie Hay.
Mhm.
And we're doing interviews and you can donate to our Ko-fi if you like, or you can join our Discord server. But remember to support women's rights.
But most importantly, support women's wrongs, unless they are in Taylor Swift's cult
Or our Taylor Swift.
or Taylor Swift. I shall see you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile. Thank you for listening to Swords and Sapphics. You can enjoy a new episode every Wednesday.
While waiting, you can visit our website, swordsandsuffix.com, and find lots of articles, interviews, and guest pieces.
Feel free to contact us with any requests, questions, or inquiries through a form on our website or directly to our email, swordsandsuffixpodcast@gmail.com.